For millions of reality television fans across the world, Kimberly Menzies was a familiar face. We watched her navigate international romance, heartbreak, and personal growth under the unforgiving glare of the cameras. Beside her stood her son, Jamal Menzies, a fan-favorite figure known for his calm demeanor, sharp judgment, and unwavering loyalty to his mother. To the audience, Kim and Jamal represented one of the most unbreakable mother-son bonds in reality TV history. They were a duo against the world. Or so everybody thought. Behind the bright lights, the production teams, and the dramatic storylines aired across TLC, Kimberly Menzies was carrying a burden heavier than anything viewers could have imagined. For over 3 decades, she lived with a life-altering secret, a painful past that she had hidden not only from the public and the media, but from her own son, Jamal. When Season 5 of 90 Day, The Single Life aired, fans expected the usual mix of speed dates, relationship drama, and personal introspections. Instead, Kimberly dropped a massive emotional bombshell that transformed her narrative overnight. Through tears, she confessed to the cameras, "I've been carrying a really big secret for about 30 years. Jamal is not my only child." The reveal left fans in shock and sent ripples through the entire 90 Day franchise. Kimberly hadn't just kept a minor detail quiet. She had given birth to 2 other children decades ago, placing both of them up for adoption long before Jamal was ever born. How did a young woman carrying such immense emotional pain end up keeping this quiet for 30 years? What led her to make the agonizing decision to place her firstborn children in the arms of strangers? And how would her beloved son Jamal react when his entire understanding of his family was shattered in front of millions? To understand Kimberly Menzies' decision, we have to rewind the clock more than 30 years. Long before reality TV cameras entered her life, Kim was a young 21-year-old woman trying to find her footing in the world. She had enlisted in the United States military, eager to serve her country and build a stable future for herself. She was young, ambitious, and on the threshold of adulthood. Then her world took an unexpected turn. Kim discovered she was pregnant with her first child, a boy whom she would name Larry. When she broke the news to the baby's father, she was met not with support or excitement, but with immediate rejection. The father told her unequivocally to abort the baby. For Kim, that was an impossible line to cross. She refused to terminate the pregnancy. However, standing at just 21 years old, preparing for a demanding military career, and lacking financial security or a supporting partner, Kim was overwhelmed. She looked at her circumstances with devastating honesty. She knew she was not mentally, emotionally, or financially prepared to raise a child on her own. Driven by a fierce love that prioritized the child's future over her own maternal desires, Kim made the most painful choice a young mother can make. She chose adoption. She handed her baby boy over to an adoptive family, praying he would receive the life, security, and love that she was incapable of offering at that point in her young life. Tragically, the story did not end there. Kim would later find herself pregnant again by the same father, resulting in the birth of a daughter whom she also had to place up for adoption. In closed adoption arrangements standard for the era, the doors were shut. Kim was left alone with her grief, her memories, and a deep, agonizing secret that she locked away in the quietest corners of her heart. Years later, when she gave birth to her son Jamal, Kim made a conscious choice to remain silent. She feared that telling Jamal about his hidden brother and sister would make him feel less loved, or fill his childhood with the shadow of a grief he was too young to understand. So she carried the secret alone year after year, decade after decade. For 30 years, the secret remained intact. Kim raised Jamal, poured her heart into his upbringing, and built a strong life. But hidden truths have a way of surfacing when least expected. Turning point came not through a dramatic confrontation or a planned confession, but through modern genetics. DNA testing and ancestry websites have altered the landscape of adoption reunion stories across the globe. Larry, now an adult living in North Carolina with a family of his own, decided to look into his roots. He submitted a DNA kit, hoping to find a lead to his biological mother. Test resulted in a direct match. Out of nowhere, Larry reached out. For Kim, receiving that first message from Larry was like opening a time capsule buried 3 decades prior. The baby boy she had surrendered into the hands of another woman was now a grown man, seeking answers and connection. But with this joyous revelation came an impending storm. She could no longer keep the truth hidden from Jamal. The moment Kim sat Jamal down to confess her past was nothing short of devastating. Jamal, who had grown up believing he was Kim's only child, was rocked to his core. The foundation of absolute trust he had shared with his mother suddenly felt unstable. "I've hidden things from him for so long that when I told him, it just devastated him," Kim admitted on the show. For Jamal, the pain wasn't necessarily about the adoption itself. He understood that his mother was young and faced unimaginable pressure. Core hurt stemmed from the duration of the secret. For 28 years, he had lived without knowing he had full-blooded biological siblings walking the earth. He wrestled with feelings of betrayal, wondering why his mother had kept him in the dark for so long, and whether she would have ever brought it to light had Larry not reached out first. Camera captured raw, unscripted emotion as mother and son processed the shift in their dynamic. The audience watched a family navigating the complex terrain of late-stage truth, where love and betrayal existed side by side. Despite the tension and emotional shockwaves, Kim and Jamal chose to step forward together. Recognizing that Larry's outreach was a rare gift, they booked flights and traveled across the country to North Carolina for a face-to-face meeting with Larry, his wife, and his children. For Kim, stepping off that plane was an out-of-body experience. How do you prepare to look into the eyes of a son you haven't held since he was a newborn baby? What words could possibly bridge a 30-year gap filled with unanswered questions and quiet grief? The initial meeting was a powerful mix of tears, relief, and profound emotional release. When Kim looked at Larry, she saw not a stranger, but a reflection of her past, and more importantly, a testament to the life he had been given. Larry had grown into a kind, stable, grounded man, married with children of his own, effectively making Kim a grandmother. Seeing Larry's reality offered Kim something she had lacked for 30 years: closure. The guilt that had weighed on her heart since her early 20s began to lift. "I'm so relieved because he was such a good man," Kim reflected after the meeting. "I don't know how he would have turned out if I would have kept him. It makes me feel certain that I did the right thing." For Jamal, seeing Larry in person helped transform his anger into understanding. Standing face-to-face with his older brother, he saw a man who shared his blood, his features, and a piece of his identity. The journey of healing for the Menzies family was just beginning, but the ice had broken. Yet, even as Kim celebrated this reunion with Larry, another unresolved chapter hung in the air. Her biological daughter was still out there. As part 1 of our story comes to a close, Kim prepares to open up further about the daughter she surrendered, the delicate path of building a relationship with Larry, and the public reaction that was about to break across social media. When Kimberly Menzies brought her adoption journey to international television, she knew the public reaction would be swift and unsparing. Reality TV audiences are passionate, outspoken, and quick to judge. As episodes of 90 Day, The Single Life aired, the internet exploded with commentary, debate, and divided opinions. Some viewers criticized Kim for keeping such a massive secret from Jamal for his entire adult life, arguing that he deserved to know about his biological siblings far earlier. Others questioned her timing, wondering why she chose to share such a sensitive personal ordeal on a reality TV platform focused on dating and relationship drama. However, alongside the criticism arose a wave of empathy and support. Thousands of birth mothers, adoptees, and adoptive parents reached out to Kim, sharing their own experiences with adoption, secrecy, and reunion. They recognized the profound pain of a 21-year-old military woman forced to make a heart-wrenching choice in an era when mental health support and open adoptions were far less accessible. Through it all, Kim stood firm in her truth. She acknowledged her shortcomings, accepted the public scrutiny, and focused on what mattered most: building genuine relationships with her children away from the noise of the internet. While Larry's story took center stage during Season 5 of 90 Day, The Single Life, viewers were left with a major lingering question: what about the daughter? In her on-camera confessions, Kim revealed that Larry was not her only adoption story. Shortly after Larry was born and placed with his adoptive family, Kim had become pregnant again by the same father. Facing the same insurmountable challenges and lack of support, she had made the choice to place her second child, a daughter, up for adoption as well. For decades, the thought of her daughter had haunted Kim just as much as the memory of Larry. Birthdays passed in silence, holidays arrived with an unspoken void, and every milestone in Jamal's life was accompanied by a quiet wonder about how her other two children were faring in the world. When Larry re-entered Kim's life, it opened up the possibility of finding her daughter as well. However, as anyone familiar with adoption reunions knows, every child's journey is unique. While Larry was ready and eager to establish contact, reconnecting with a birth mother is an intensely emotional process that requires time, space, and readiness from all parties involved. Addressing her followers on social media after the episode aired, Kim chose to handle her daughter's identity with care and respect. She posted, "As you saw, I have a daughter too and will post about her at another time. We are taking everything day by day." Unlike Larry, whose reunion was featured on television with his consent, Kim made it clear that she would not rush or exploit her daughter's privacy. Reconnecting with biological children after 30 years isn't a scripted television plot. It's a fragile reality that requires patience, boundaries, and deep empathy. Kim signaled to the world that she was willing to wait as long as necessary for her daughter to take whatever steps felt comfortable for her.